Hello, we're going to do some standing yoga leading to Warrior II, and I'm going to suggest some modifications and break down the posture, so that should make it easier to follow. Okay, let's get started in Tadasana. So we have our feet nicely spread, standing tall. So we really need to use our feet in our standing postures. So get that connection with your feet, lifting up your toes and then spreading them down. You can slightly close your eyes if that helps you center yourself. Hands can be in prayer. And just take a few precious moments to tune into your breath. Inhaling and then exhaling, just watching the inhale and the exhale. And as you do so, lifting a little bit taller, finding your center. Good. You might like to make a little intention for the class, so something for your well-being today. Breathe that in and then exhale, release. Good. And now we'll just warm up nice and gently. So firstly, let's just rotate the shoulders. Inhaling, exhale, release. Good. And just release some tension, start to mobilize the shoulders and the other way. Good, and just notice if you're carrying any tension in the shoulders, just see if you can allow that to release slightly. Good, and we'll just gently turn our neck from side to side. So keeping these shoulders down, nice and gentle with the neck. Good, and now we'll start to wake up our arms a little bit, inhaling, raising the arms up. Feel free to keep a bend in the arm if you've got any shoulder problems. Inhale and exhale. You can add a little bit of movement, so slightly bending the knees. Good. Inhale, reaching to the sky. Exhale. Inhale and then exhale. Good, and let's come into some side stretches. So we can have the hand on the hip, especially if you feel any kind of sensitivity in your back. That will give your back a bit more support. So just getting a nice stretch, or using both hands as long as that feels okay. So we're reaching out of both sides of the waist, trying not to crunch too much on one side. Just find a nice stretch. Good, and just let the arms swing. So keeping the shoulders down. Just getting a little bit more movement in the spine. Always remembering to breathe, so breathing nice and deeply. Good, and then we'll just slightly open up the back. So your hands can be on your hips, or you can interlace. Get that feeling of lifting from the sternum. Sometimes when we're sitting forward, looking at our phones, we can get really quite tight in our upper back. Just nice to open up a bit. Good. Now we'll just start to march, start to warm up the legs. Drawing the belly in can help to get that connection with our abdominals. Always useful in our yoga postures to connect to our abdominals. Good. Can really help with balance as well. Now slightly lifting the legs out to the side. Yeah. So you want to warm up the hips. Here, the outer hip, especially for warriors. So you've got a lot of external rotation. Sometimes it's quite good to place your hand around the muscles that are working, as long as that's okay with your balance. If you have any balance problems, then feel free to hold on to a chair or use the wall. Good. Now we'll just slightly rotate the ankles. a lot of the standing postures, we want to get that connection with our feet and our ankles to help us connect to the posture and get some more strength. Good. And the other one. And then either holding onto the side of a wall or a chair, just do some gentle hip circles. Good. You'll find if you can draw that belly in, that might help to keep you more balanced. And feel how your foot is grounding you and your ankle is providing that stability, and those little wobbles are all very good for your balance. When you get that mind-body connection, we can strengthen our balance. Good. So just hip circles on this side. You may find it's easier to balance on one side. Excellent. Now we come into some very gentle squats. So when we come into a squat, we want to have our feet about hip width apart, maybe slightly wider. You may find it easier to slightly turn the toes out. So again, being mindful of your back and your knees, we're just going to slightly come into a very gentle mini squat. So it's like we're sitting in a chair. I'll show you from the side. So the weight is more in the heels. Doesn't matter how low you go, especially when we're warming up. Just want to get a bit of a warm up in the legs. Good. Keep that breath going. You might feel your heart rate is increasing slightly, so that's a good sign that we're warming up. Good. So weight in the heels, checking in how this feels on your back and your knees, and coming up if needed, because we want to protect our joints, we want to strengthen our muscles with time. Good.
So like in the chair, it does stop your knees hurting, doesn't it, when you go to the back?
Yeah, that's right. You don't want all the to come forward too much. Like sitting back into a chair. Yeah, we don't want any pain in yoga. So we'll come into a plie now, a bit more of a plie squat, like a mini goddess pose. So our feet are turned out about 45 degrees. So we're going to gently come down, you can have our hands in prayer. So checking your knees are in line with your ankles. Good. So we can make them nice and small. Good. And you might feel your inner thighs working a little bit as we bring the leg in. You can get that connection if you really squeeze the muscles to the bone. Good. And just see how flexible you are. See where your body wants to go at the moment. Good. Wonderful. Now we'll just shake it out a bit. So we'll come into the first posture known as Warrior II. And I'll explain some ways to make this a little bit more easier. So first you want to find a wide stance. So the wider your feet are, the more you're challenging your balance. So if you're new to this posture, you don't need to have your feet too wide apart. And firstly, let's get that connection with our feet and our legs. So just feeling the ground underneath you and feeling the muscles working in your legs already. Good, so feel that connection first. So if you're new to Warrior, you may want to stay here. You can have your hands on your hips and just feel that strength in your legs, lifting up. Breathe here. So Warrior II is a very grounding posture because we are connected with the ground. Good, so now we're going to progress by turning one leg out 90 degrees. And just see how that feels and bring the other foot in slightly. So roughly it's heel to heel alignment or heel to arch. So firstly check that you feel comfortable in this posture. If that feels okay, we can stay for a few breaths here. Good. And now we can consider bending this front knee. So when we bend the knee, we want to make sure this knee is in line with the ankle. So only bend to where feels okay in your body. What we want to avoid is the knee rolling in. So keeping that knee tracking the ankle. I'm going to protect the knee joint. And also notice the weight in your back leg. Do you find that you're tipping forward? If so, start to think about distributing more of your body weight in that back leg as well. So hands on hips, find a comfortable position for you here. And if you want to also open the arms, we can try that. You can see how that feels nice, broad back. Breathe here. Anytime you want to slightly come back out of it, just straighten that knee. So start to connect to that leg strength, noticing your weight, is it equally distributed? And then gazing over that middle finger, if that's okay with your neck. So that's your drishti. So let's just take a few breaths here. Good, and then to exit the posture, we're going to press through our feet to help us lift up. And then lower the arms. Good, just give the shoulders a little roll here. Maybe let the hips come from side to side. Excellent. And now we'll try that on the other side. So finding that connection with the feet first. And then turning the other foot out 90 degrees. And then bringing the back foot in. And now checking how that feels. We can have our hands on our hips. Get that sense of drawing up. Even engaging the belly can help here. Breathe. And now if you want to, we can try to bend that front knee. Again, keeping that knee in line with the ankle. And adjusting the back foot if you need to, checking that your weight is equally distributed on both legs. So we want to feel nice and stable in our warrior. Good, so when you found a comfortable position, either stay here or you may want to reach your arms out. Nice broad arms. And you can gaze over that middle finger, so that's our drishti, our focal point in yoga. Few breaths here. We can use that index finger as our intention, something to focus on. Breathe in and out through the nose if you can. Just feel the muscles in the legs heating up. Good, and then pressing through the feet to come back up. And then let's rotate the shoulders back. Good, and then wiggle the hips or even circle the hips. Excellent. And now we'll combine Warrior 2 with our Peaceful Warrior or Reverse Warrior. So we'll just come back to our Tadasana posture. Few breaths here. Excellent. Now we'll come back to our warrior, so finding that nice stance, so as wide as you're comfortable with, and then finding your warrior here, so you may have your hands here. You may be aligning that knee with the ankle and bending into that knee, keeping your weight in the back leg as much as your front, so we've got our torso aligned, and arms here or arms nice and broad. And now we're going to let that back hand come down our back thigh, flip the front hand up, and then either stay here or start to slowly reach up into our Peaceful Warrior. So we're getting a little bit of an opening here. Breathe. And then back to our Warrior 2. Good, and we can gently flow through, inhaling into our Peaceful Warrior. Exhale into our warrior two. Inhale and exhale, grounding into our warrior two. Inhale, back to warrior two. Good, and then pressing through the feet to come back up. And then we'll repeat on the other side. So connection with your feet, turning one leg out, 1 foot out, 90 degrees. Feeling your feet are strongly rooted. Finding that bend in the knee if you want to, aligning with the ankle. Weight is equally distributed, possibly lifting your hands, raising your arms even. Good. So find your warrior, gaze over that middle finger, and then we'll flow into our reverse or peaceful warrior, it's also known as. Good. And then back to warrior two. Inhale, let that back arm come down the leg, and the other arm finds that nice opening. Good. And let's use our breath. Inhale into our reverse warrior. Exhale, grounding into our warrior two. And one more. Inhale, open. And then exhale back into our warrior two. Good. And then press through the feet to come back up. Let's just shake the hips off a bit. And after working all those muscles in the legs, we want to come into a counter pose. So I'm going to give my mum a chair to demonstrate how to do this with the chair as well.
Thank you.
So we're still keeping that connection with our feet. So you've got the strength in our legs. We're rooting up from the ground. Hands can be on hips. And then we're going to lift up. And then very important to draw in the belly slightly. You may need a slight bend in the legs. And we're going to hinge at the hips. So we're avoiding rounding the back. We're hinging. So hands can be on a chair. So the chair will be a better option if you have any sensitivity in your back. Or you may be able to use blocks such as this. So you've got a flat back. Inhaling, keeping the strength in the legs, and then exhaling to release. So always using the chair if that feels better on your back. Always important to protect the back and work mindfully in your yoga practice. If you don't need the blocks, remove them and just let the body release the back. Use the strength in your legs to help you forward fold. You can also use your hands on your legs for a bit more support. Just find where you feel comfortable. Breathe. Inhale and exhale just to release any tension. Good, and then slowly coming back up. You can also use your hands on your legs to help bring you back up. Good. Coming back up, just open up the shoulders. Good, and then very important to find our centre again. So back in your mountain pose. Feel your feet nice and spread, lifting up, hands in prayer. Breathing, relax the shoulders, relax the face. Just take these few moments here to remind yourself of your intention and give yourself some thanks for taking some moments in the day to practice yoga. Bow to yourself. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.